We are Alan and Nancy Benoit. We own an architecture firm in Manchester, Vermont, and this is an overview of the deep energy retrofit we are doing to our old farmhouse.
This will be our next home and our new office. We are hopeful that we can eventually retire here. It's an 1880s farmhouse that has seen minor upgrades and additions over the years. The front of the house sits just 20 feet from the road, which you can see in the foreground here.
When we took ownership of this old farmhouse, it had 3 sets of stairs outside, and most of the house sat on a very shallow crawl space.
It also had 2 chimneys, a buried propane tank, and a partial marble block foundation.
The siding was a rustic mix of vinyl, asbestos, lattice, and painted particle board. And while some of the spaces did have insulation, it wasn't quite up to today's standards.
Getting started, we hired a certified asbestos removal company to take away the asbestos shingle siding, and then our contractor removed the 140-year-old clapboards underneath.
We hired deconstruction works out of Brattleboro to perform the first round of demolition. They disassembled most of the interior partitions and removed the sun porch entirely. The stacks of lumber, doors, flooring, and windows were salvaged and reused. And the appliances, wood stove, light fixtures, and other items were donated to charity.
The house was stripped down to its original sheathing boards, and the propane tank was excavated out of the ground and trucked away.
We decided to have some fun one weekend by taking down the chimneys ourselves. There's nothing like being up 25 feet in the air with a jackhammer in your hand.
Removing both chimneys left rather large holes in the soffits and roof, both of which needed to be patched and filled.
Once the old paper was removed from the exterior, it was obvious that there were some significant gaps in the board sheathing that we would have to address and rectify.
And a few of the gaps were quite large. This one was over 2 inches tall.
To address these gaps, we chose a self-adhered membrane. And for better energy performance, we prepared the window openings to receive exterior insulation. We took advantage of the membrane's adhesive properties and used it to flash the window bucks to the sheathing.
We used a product called ThermalBuck to prepare the rough openings and to bring the windows out to the same plane as the siding.
We changed the location of many windows to fit our new floor plan and chose Sierra Pacific H3 windows with a maple interior.
After installing the windows, we flashed around them the ThermalBuck and all the way back to the weather-resistant barrier with a wide acrylic flashing tape.
We also reinstalled triple pane windows on the north facade to improve comfort and performance there.
On the inside, in addition to moving some windows, we made some drastic changes.
We removed the various layers of plaster and lath from the ceilings, and when we did, we discovered dozens of old corn cobs along with marbles, rope, and other random objects.
We removed the plaster and lath from the balloon-framed walls as well, and found that they were also filled with surprises, which included bottles, toys, books, knickknacks, and even crutches.
One item we found in abundance in the walls were shoes. Apparently in the 1800s, it was common practice to place shoes in the wall cavities to lure and capture witches. You can never predict the things you will learn when renovating a house.
After removing all the random junk in the walls, we had the cavities filled with dense packed cellulose.
And while this may have been considered a beautiful facelift for the 1970s, we have other ideas in mind.
We have had the stairs rebuilt, added windows on the south side, and insulated the walls.
And in the process of our deep energy retrofit, we upgraded the entire house to meet or exceed today's Vermont Energy Code. Since the rafters were only 5 inches thick, the slope ceilings were under-insulated. We had no intention to remove the slate roofing on the exterior, but we needed to address the air leakage in this area. Therefore, we added an additional 3 or 4 inches of blocking.
which allowed us to fill the cavity with about 8 inches of closed cell foam, obtaining an R value of 50 and air sealing the roof slopes.
This renovation is still ongoing and we are at least a year or more from moving in. Upstairs, the walls have been framed and the plumbing and electrical are roughed in.
We even have sheetrock in a few rooms and the original floors have been sanded down, close but not quite ready for us to move in.
On the outside of the house, we added 3 inches of exterior insulation. This was attached to the structure with long lag screws and large ribbed caps.
Once the layers of insulation were fastened in place, strapping was applied to prepare for the corrugated metal siding.
The most recent phase of the renovation, which is underway, is to put the house on a new solid foundation. And since we were lifting the house, we decided we should move it 40 feet back further from the road.
To do so, the house was lifted onto steel beams and wood cribbing.
The first phase of the house move was done by hand. The house was mounted on steel rollers and then pulled to the side with 2 come-alongs, slow and steady, inch by inch.
For the second phase of the house move, they used pneumatic rams to slide the house on the steel beams. Interestingly, the tops of the beams were coated with ivory soap to reduce friction.
And as of today, the house is sitting 57 feet away from where it was built 140 years ago. Now it's awaiting its new insulated foundation.
The end.
Sierra Pacific Windows is proud to have been selected for the Deep Energy Retrofit project in Manchester. Our sincere gratitude goes out to Nancy Benoit and the team at Sustainable Design of Vermont for having worked with us on this project. We invite you to check out our website at www.sierrapacificwindows.com for more information.
At RK Miles, our business is focused on providing our contractor customers with what is most important to them, receiving deliveries that are complete and on time. From the initial sale through final delivery, our team takes care of it all, so you receive what you expect when you expect it. Celebrating our 80th year of delivering orders on time and in full. RK Miles, with full-service lumberyards throughout Vermont and Western Massachusetts.
I can't imagine having to do anything other than this with a wood buck. There's no way that I can envision using a wood buck and getting it sealed up properly that I could be comfortable with. This solves that problem. I'm so excited about the ThermalBuck system, and there's nothing else like it that I can find. So I think it's a great product and I highly recommend it. It's working out great for us.
Building Right is me, Pete Yost. My work encompasses all aspects of building performance with an emphasis on moisture control and heat transfer. I work with architects to review design and specifications, and I work with homeowners, builders, and remodelers to do initial assessments of buildings or investigate failures. Go to www.building-right, that's right with a W, to see what I can do for you and your building.